All right. First and foremost, give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Kakadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well and who is worthy to be counted for double honors. Peace and salutations to you brothers out there pushing the truth wholeheartedly and sincerely and for love of the gospel. It's the brother Gabari from Indiana camp coming back at you again with another sit down. Um, and I was just thinking through the spirit. I want to share with something, that I was just my last few minutes of work. I was thinking about um I was thinking about just basically, one thing I noticed by being in this truth, um, is how you have to really balance out your time. All right. And I'm not just talking about with your videos, with you studying, with you doing the things for your how about Shema Shah. I'm talking about as I get older, as I grow more, I'm starting to notice that I'm not able to give my time, especially now. I'm in my 30s. I'll be 31 later this year, but like I'm starting to like notice now that the more you grow, the more you can't give certain things as much time as you did prior. You know, I the things that I gave a lot of time when I was in my early 20s, mid 20s, even late 20s. I'm finding out now, like, you know, you can't give certain things that much more time anymore. Now, when you now that's just observation of just how to govern your time just within this world. Now, stacking the truth on top of that, you really you really don't have time. Your time is not really your own, because what you still have to take time to do your prayers, to do your studying, to make your videos, to watch the videos. You see? So here it is. You're making time, you're dividing your time throughout the day, um to do certain things, whether it's taking care of your children if you have children, your job, would depending on how many hours you work or whatever, working out, if that's something that you get into, your body training, strength training, which and that's another thing too. You should do some type of exercise. Not saying you should be going to the gym lifting, half the gym or lifting the whole gym or whatever, but do some type of bodily exercise, whether it's calisthenics, do some type of running, or do some type of resistance training, or band, just get your body active. Get don't stay in a slump. But anyways, I'm starting to notice more so now, and the scriptures talks about this too. Right now, actually, when the scripture says what, seeing that it was our mind to go astray from the Lord, now us being returned, we supposed to what, seek Him 10 times more. And the scripture saying what, buying back the time. So in this walk of ours, in this journey, in this walk of ours, we got to make sure that we're dividing our time accordingly. We're not giving too much into pleasure. We're not giving too much into wickedness, and the vice versa. We're not giving too much into I don't want to say righteousness, but we're not giving and overindulging in too much of the spirit. You know, where I mean, where here you is, you want to do a video 24/7, which is good, but you still have a life that you have to maintain. You still have to go to work. You still have to do certain things. You still need to sleep. You know, so you're sitting here like, I want to do a video when I get off work. I want to do a video when I get off work, all the way until I got to go back to work. Well, that won't be productive. Because you still have certain things you have to do in this world. You know, so one thing I've just been noticing, as the older I get, as and the more I grow, that dividing my time has been one of the most challenging things I've always dealt with. You know, the ability to be able to, like, okay, I'm gonna do this for a couple hours, and then I'm gonna go do this for a couple hours, and then I need to make enough time to do this, and I need to make enough time to do that. And still be able to function is it's hard. You know, I'm not gonna say it's easy, but it's hard. You know, harder more so than others. You know, some brothers, once you stick to a routine, once you stick to a daily plan, you know, it becomes easier. You know, once you do certain things in repetition, it becomes that much more easier. One, you know, it's almost like, you know, getting ready for work. You know, you get up, brush your teeth, take a shower, put your clothes on. You know, once your routine is set, it's kind of, you know, it's stuck with you. You know, but getting into the bread and butter of this video is that despite everything that we do, despite all the time, you know, crunches that we go through and all the afflictions that Satan, you know, and that's another thing. Satan's gonna interrupt a lot of things too. You know, you might want to do this, but shit, you might be fucking tired. You might be exhausted. You know, but here it is. You know, everything that we go through in our day to day life, dividing our times into certain things that we try to get done, we still got to make sure that we're making time for the Lord, you know? And that's when I was thinking about it heavy at work. I'm like, man, you know, everything that, you know, I do today, and I wouldn't even consider myself as a super busy brother. Like, I don't pretty much, you know, do a whole bunch of things. Like, I don't really got a lot going, you know, where I got to go do this. I got to, you know, do this. I mean, I do have children and stuff, but I mean, pretty much after I get done with work, I go straight home. You know, like my life is very simple. You know, I go to work, I come home, and you know, I try to and I do the work. You know, we have class on Tuesdays, we have class on Thursdays, and we have class and we have and we go out on Fridays. You know, so you know, besides those days, you know, and doing your individual studying your individual lessons, you know, that's pretty much my life. I don't do any extracurricular activities or anything like that, you know. So my job and my house is really where my whereabouts be at, you know, and my side, you know, my little side hobbies and my little side gigs that I have to make a little extra money. But besides that, that's basically my life. So I wouldn't even consider me as a super busy brother like that. And I still have challenges into dividing my time, you know, to do certain things. And, you know, but one thing I was thinking about at work, I was like, man, you know, regardless of what you, regardless of what time that you give, what you always have to make time for the Lord. Always have to make time for the Lord, you know. That's why Apostle Tahar made that decree X amount of years ago, saying, listen, brothers, listen, you have to go out and do at least what 10 minute videos throughout the week, which is 30. Really, if you think about it, that's 30 minutes throughout your week. I think there's 100. You know, you could look it up. I don't know the exact, you know, hours, but I think it's 165 hours. I think it's 165 hours in a week, and you giving the Lord 30 minutes is bare minimum, should be an extremely easy requirement. You know, that should be I mean, 30 minutes out of a week should be extremely easy for you to give time for the Lord, you know, on doing the work. And I would even encourage some brothers to even give more, you know. Don't just do the bare minimum. Well, this video's 10 minutes. Let me go ahead and close it out. And you know, you should always strive to do your utmost best, to do your to go to far exceed what is required of you. Matter of fact, the last video I did, I had brought out that First Corinthians 15 and 58. I can't pull it right now because I'm driving, but that First Corinthians 15 and 58, and if you read it in the Amplified version, it says that you excel that you excel the work of the Lord, and the more that's I can't quote it verbatim what it says, but basically it goes into you excelling past what is need required. You see? So here it is, you're supposed to do 30-minute videos throughout a week, but here you got, you know, you want to do a video a day, 20, 30, 40 minutes, you know? Here we go. Apostle Tahar, he puts down 3 or 4 videos a day, sometimes more. I remember Apostle Tahar put down what, 6 videos. And I'm not talking about 6 10-minute videos. I'm talking about 6 30 40 50 hour minute videos. Matter of fact, I think it was a couple days ago, Apostle just did a 3 hour marathon where he was doing a video for 3 hours. And that's the dedication, and that's what we strive to be. That's what we strive to be like, Now, the apostles, I spoke with the apostles personally, and they said, listen, we understand, all brothers ain't gonna have the same schedule as the same, as each other, you know. So they understand certain brothers are gonna be way more busier than others, but the objective is to do your best, you know. Not doing nothing is completely inexcusable. That's you can not to do nothing 30 minutes. Here he is. It takes me about 30 minutes to get home. What's wrong with doing an in transit video like I'm doing now? There's plenty of brothers across GMS that does in transit videos. Basically, just what talks through the spirit, or talks about what's going on. You see, or just what's on their spirit. I remember I heard Apostle Taha said that if you don't have a video, sometimes if he doesn't have a video topic, he'll just go back to a video that he was watching. He'll commentate on that, So sit here making excuses, talking about, well, I don't know what to talk about, or it's hard throughout my day. I got to make time. I got to make this. Well, bro, that comes with the sacrifice, Giving up your body as a living sacrifice. That's the sacrifice. Your time, your effort. I understand. Balancing out your time throughout the day or throughout the week is challenging. But that's part of our duty. That's part of the walk. That's part of the hill that we catch. We have to sit here and give Esau so much amount of our time. If you got a woman, you got to give her so much amount of your time. If you have children, you got to give them so much amount of your time. If you got things that you got to do around the house, as far as cook, clean, wash dishes, do laundry, you got to give that a certain amount of time. You got to sleep. You got to think about that. You got to sleep so many hours throughout the day, But despite all of that, you still have to give the Lord his time. You can't just up and neglect the Lord and just be like, oh, well, I get to it when I get to it. Because you wouldn't want the Lord to do that to you. Well, here it is. What if you needed the Lord to come through on something, and the Lord just said, hey, listen, I get to it when I get to it. Just like how you put me on the back burner and my work on the back burner, I'm gonna put you on the back burner. You see, each single one of us wants to be able for the Lord to act fast when we need Him. Like the brother Kaya, used to say, he said, listen, man, don't treat the Lord's work, or don't treat the Lord like a side chick, And how do you treat a side chick? You hit her up only when you want it. You hit her up only when you want some. You don't talk to her for months, or don't talk to her for weeks. But shit, when it's time, when it's a little, when old dude downstairs is hot and ready, that's when you hit her up. You talk to her. You talk all sweet to her. You never take her out. You probably don't even really remember her name. So you don't want to treat the Lord like that. You see, hit up the Lord only when you want to, or when you find it convenient. All right. So that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the video right there. I just wanted to talk to the Spirit through a minute. Like I said, I was just thinking about this heavy. My last couple minutes of work, my last couple hours of work. I was just thinking, like, man, dividing your time throughout the day is not an easy feat, man. It's pretty challenging, And despite all of that, you still have to give the Lord his due. You still have to give the Lord his time, So that's all I got. Lord, after this video is edifying. Hey, brothers, keep pushing, stay strong. And until next time, shalom.